In this video, I want to break down some of Naruto's action poses. Some are good, some aren't so good. My hypothesis is that early era Naruto was better at drawing dynamic action poses compared to middle era Naruto. I will be using similar metrics to my Kagurabachi fight videos to analyze the poses. I'll start by comparing Lion's Barrage. For the kick up, I have two early eras and one middle era. I'll call them A, B, and C. A and B both have bent knees, while C has a straighter leg, giving the kick more power. C has a more athletic kicking pose, with how Sasuke is almost doing a handstand, but the fact that Sasuke is cut off in the panel makes the pose weaker. The way the person getting hit in A and B have their head facing all the way up pushes the pose well. Yoroi's body is especially limp, which sells the hit. It looks as if he's losing all feeling from the kick. The perspective seen on the floor makes the scene look even better. A and B are overall more detailed with their line work, which gives them an advantage. The idea of Sakon being hunched over from the kick is great, but the execution is weak. I can compare that to a similar pose from Uzumaki Barrage. I tried to guess where the pelvis would be based on the pose. Naruto's head is leaning over his pelvis more than Sakon's, which makes the pose stronger. For the final strike of Lion's Barrage, Sakon's limbs drag back to sell the pose, but they are all in similar positions, which looks less impressive compared to Yoroi's varied limb positions. Yoroi's panel has foreshortening, perspective lines, a bigger panel, and more detailed line work. All of these things make it stronger. Sasuke's hair drags slightly more against Yoroi, and the position of his right leg is pushed more compared to against Sakon. Lee's first fight has some great art. In this first panel, Naruto's pose has good lean, two good flows, and his inactive arm kinda drags. The way it's positioned makes it look like he's ready to swing again. The camera angle is also dynamic. In the second panel, Naruto has good lean, arm flow, and leg flow. The depth is apparent in the size of his hand versus Lee's head. This triangle formation, the camera angle is dynamic, and there's clear perspective. On the next page, the camera angle is more creative and the floor shows perspective. Naruto has good flow and you can see the depth. In the next panel, Lee really leans into his pose. He has three good flows throughout the pose, and the pose of his right hand adds a little flair and cool factor. Finally, there's the page against Sasuke. Both characters have great lean and several solid flows. Lee's arms and legs are in varied positions, adding nuance to the pose. In the bottom panel, Lee is really leaning in, there's foreshortening, and he has two smooth, stunning flows in his pose. Now, Sasuke versus Haku. Both characters are really leaning into their poses in the first panel on the left. Both have their arms dragging behind. Sasuke's leg flow is also good. In the impact, there is foreshortening and perspective for the triangle formation. Sasuke is leaning in, and both have good leg flow. On the second page, the top panel has an interesting camera angle and Haku's arms drag. In the last panel, I estimated the pelvis and head location to show how much both are leaning. Sasuke and Haku both have beautiful leg flow. Haku also has arm flow. The trend has been that the early era has better poses. Let's look at an iconic middle era fight, Sasuke vs Itachi. The first page has weak flow and neither character is leaning into the attack. It makes it look like they aren't trying. The flow should be a C or S curve. The sharper the turns, the more exaggerated the pose. On the second page, there is triangle formation and perspective, but once again, there is no lean from Itachi to sell the stab. These pages get better. In A, Itachi is really selling the kick. His flow from head to toe and flow from foot to foot are great. The cape drags behind to sell the speed. Sasuke's head flicks back to sell the pose, but he could definitely be leaning back more. His feet are stumbling to sell it even more, but there is no hit spark, reducing the clarity. If you don't look at the sound effect, you could think that Sasuke dodged. In B, Sasuke has weak lean and no flow, but the camera angle is creative and the depth is apparent. Things look better towards the end of the choreo. Itachi has lean and three different flows. His cape also drags. Unfortunately, Sasuke has no lean or flow. His pose looks phoned in. Itachi makes him lock in for the next panel. Itachi's lean is decent, but it could be exaggerated more. He also has nice arm flow. In context of what's happening, I think Sasuke is leaning into his pose well. Drag is shown in the capes and Sasuke's arms. For the last attack, Itachi really leans into his crouch. He has three flows and his cape drags. That pose looks excellent. Here's another comparison, except both are amazing. Naruto and Sasuke are both really leaning into those right hooks. Their chests are pointing towards the floor while their pelvises point forward. Both have three different flows. Naruto's inactive hand adds some flair. Sasuke's panel has triangle formation and perspective. Now for Kumite. Pain is leaning decently in both panels, while Naruto's a little stiff. Both have capes dragging. In the first panel, both of the characters sell their wind up well with their arms. In the attack, they both have straight arms which sells the power. For the final panel, there is a very noticeable amount of foreshortening. There's also triangle formation. Pain's pose is perfectly awkward for someone getting his lights knocked out, but he still has a good lean and some drag. Naruto's pose is a little stiff, but it has decent flow. His arm is still straight, and his cape drags. Last one is Naruto vs Sasuke. In my opinion, this had the best posing out of any middle era fight. Top right is A, top left is B, bottom is C. All of them have really good leans. C might be harder to tell since it's from the back, but he's definitely leaning. For Sasuke, A has 1 flow, B has 3, and C has 1. For A, Naruto's arms have flow. All 3 panels have great drag in the limbs. For context, the reason Naruto is leaning forward in B is because he leaned in for an attack but got countered. The way his head snaps back and his right limbs take awkward poses really sells the feeling of an interrupted motion. All 3 have straight attacking limbs for power. A and B have foreshortening and perspective, with B selling the perspective better. Those are the panels I thought made for a good demonstration. I thought about doing part 1 versus part 2, but that would be less productive and I might have felt more pressured to find evidence that proves my point rather than analyzing the evidence objectively. Overall, based on my memory, I still think the early era was more consistent with its good poses. The middle era clearly has its moments of brilliance, even towards the end of the era. I feel like the middle era had slightly stiffer poses, which is most evident in the leans. They didn't really lean into their attacks and push their poses as much as the early era. Maybe the more abstract style helped Kishimoto push his poses. I theorize this is the case because One Piece was phenomenal at pushing its poses back when its style was more abstract and less realistic. Maybe that theory is wrong. What do you think about these poses, and what do you think makes a powerful pose in an action scene? If this does well, maybe I'll do another.